What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the Raw Reps podcast. I'm not your average muscle mommy, Aubrey Ray, and today I'm here with a very special guest, Brandon Clark. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Great to be here. There are not a whole lot of fitness people in Bozeman, Montana, so it's good to meet some like-minded fellows interested in bodybuilding. I see you've got your hardware up here on the wall. So what's your story exactly? You've competed in summer shredding before?
So I just competed in summer shredding, actually. I got back from Houston on Sunday.
So you competed on Saturday?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And was that your first competition?
It wasn't. So I've been bodybuilding for 5 years now. So
Okay.
I think that was my 16th show.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 22.
You're 22 years old.
I started bodybuilding when I was 17.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm coming into this, like, I have no idea about your background or anything. You've just seen, you said my podcast that I've done with Shane.
With Shane.
Okay. Fantastic. So Togi. And is the topic of this whole podcast mainly going to be like natty and not stuff, or
I thought we
going
could
into
play a
whole bunch
little
of
bit
different
with
things?
that. We could play a little bit with that, a little bit with bodybuilding. I mean, we have two very different experiences in it, as an enhanced athlete and as a natural athlete.
That was going to be my next question.
Yes.
There you go.
I answered it before you even got it.
Fantastic. All right. I just need to know who I'm battling against. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally
Remember,
joking. But
same as not natty, fire and ice.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Fantastic. The what do you call it? Difference between my fellow people that I'm podcasting with continues.
I assure
stark
you-
contrast, the light and dark.
I assure you, I'm not here to like try to switch you to the
Yeah,
dark
I know.
side.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, maybe she's gonna be like berating me.
I'm like, hey,
for
so
my
I actually have.
content.
I actually have test and trend right here.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it
exactly.
right now.
Yeah, fantastic. You drugged my drink and everything. Fantastic. Okay, no, that sounds good to me. I'm interested in hearing kind of about your experiences, and yeah, clearly, if you have any other questions, feel free to send them my
Yeah,
way.
absolutely. So I started bodybuilding when I was 17. Very natural for a very long time and very against everything enhanced. Didn't really want to mess with it because I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, you never know the side effects that you're actually going to get.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing bikini at the time. I switched over to wellness. Couldn't gain weight. Couldn't do anything. I think it was the time that I hit 21. I finally hopped on my first cycle.
Interesting.
And I went
Okay.
from 105 pounds, give or take, to 145 pounds.
Gotcha. So how many competitions did you compete in naturally?
10.
You competed in 10
Yes.
competitions by the time you were 21?
Yes.
What in the world? That is crazy. Okay, and where are you from originally?
So originally I'm from California.
Okay, gotcha.
Little small town, I'd say it, and everyone would be like, I have no idea where that is. I'm like an hour and a half west of Vegas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're from a place where there's a lot more competitions going on.
Oh, definitely.
Because here there's like one, maybe two.
Big sky.
Yeah. It's very, very few and far between.
And it's definitely been a lot of traveling too. Absolutely.
Okay.
Like Florida, Texas, a lot of Houston because it's a hub.
Okay, gotcha. So 10 competitions before you're 21, and then 21 you decided that you wanted to take things to the next level.
To the next level and go and like actual NPC. Because mind you, they were all like local shows and things like that where I'm just like kind of trying to get my fit.
Okay.
My first summer shredding, this is actually my second summer shredding doing. My first one, I was natural.
Okay.
And then that was kind of the wake up call because that was when we were switching over to wellness and I was like, I'm not big enough.
I see. Okay. So now, you switched over to wellness. Was that for the first summer shredding that you did? Interesting. Okay. And then you were like, I need to step it up. I need to put on some size. I know there's massive difference between like bikini competitor size
And wellness
girl
competitor
size. It's huge, especially if you ever go to the Olympia.
Oh, absolutely.
And you see the bikini competitors versus the wellness
Yeah, like you put like
competitors.
Laura Lee next to like Francielli and you're like, oh
It's
my God, she's like
insane.
two of her.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. It's funny because I actually just booked my tickets and my hotel for the Olympia this year. So I'm going to go again.
I'm actually going to the Olympia too.
You're going as well. Fantastic.
I'm going for the Olympia model search with Buff Bunny.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you work with Buff Bunny, the
I want to
company,
work with
or
Buff
you want
Bunny.
to work with them? Okay,
Yes,
sweet.
As I am completely wearing Buff Bunny right
Okay,
now.
I see. So that's Christian Guzman's
Yeah, his wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her company. Interesting.
Love you, Christian. Would love to be an athlete, but your wife has my heart.
Fantastic. Okay. So, were you posting on like social media the whole time?
Yes. So I actually, I started my social media my freshman year of college, and it was kind of like I just want to track my progress, you know, like how everyone kind of starts. And it blew up out of nowhere. And I went from like 3K to 19K in the span of a month.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, like crap, this is real now. I should probably actually take it seriously.
There you go. Okay. Very interesting. All right. And now you're trying to become an IFBB pro in wellness. That's like the far out goal?
That's been the far out goal.
Okay.
I think we're doing a qualifier this year to go to nationals and see how I stack up. And
Gotcha.
you never know.
Okay.
I mean, Sophie from Hustle Harder and all Dark Sport and all that just got her pro card. Clear straight shot season, won everything, and just pro card, boom.
Interesting. Okay.
So
You're definitely coming into all of this. What's so funny is, so I used to be really, really into the bodybuilding space, and I feel like I knew everybody's names and I was super, super educated on it. As time has kind of gone on, even though I still go to the Olympia every year, I've sort of drifted a little bit away from the space like over the past couple years, because I've transitioned more into trying to like build my business and stuff like that. And then I just got less into the bodybuilding side of things in general. So like, even if I had to name the top 10 competitors, you know, stepping on like the open bodybuilding stage for the Olympia, I'd have a difficulty.
don't even think
versus
I could do that.
Previous years, I would be able to name them off just like one by one. I could name off like everybody that's going to be in the top 20.
Right.
Because I was super into it, but I've kind of gotten less and less connected. But you like naming off all the wellness competitors and everything. I'm completely detached from like female bodybuilding. I know that there's a super hot Brazilian chick that wins the wellness every year. I don't even know her name, but that's all I know. And it's me and my friend who's like, she's going to win again.
Oh, absolutely. And it's crazy because I'm so tight knit with the wellness community. If you asked me about any other female community, no idea.
Okay. Gotcha.
Men could name off like top 10 physique, top 10 classic, top 10 open, could do it in a heartbeat. If you ask me who the top 10 contending are for bikini, I'd just sit here with a blank face. Like,
interesting. Okay, so some females are kind of the same way.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, you kind of focus on your division.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
You're like, I can appreciate it and it's awesome, but like, I'm not sticking around to watch bikini. I'm not sticking around to watch figure because it doesn't, do the same thing for you.
There you go. Okay. And how did you meet Togi for the first time?
So I followed Togi on TikTok.
Okay.
And Togi followed me back on TikTok.
Okay.
Which turned into like kind of like following tag, because then we went over to Instagram and followed each other. And I think I DM'd him first.
Okay.
And I did, because I was asking
what's
him.
Your cycle, bro?
No, I asked him. I was like, "Hey, might be a personal question, but I need help."
Okay.
And I think you're like the right person to do it. Like, how do I pin my delt? And
you asked Togi that.
And then he's like, add me on Snapchat and we'll talk about this. And that was our first conversation like ever.
No way. That is so funny. Oh my goodness. So your first time meeting Togi, you were asking him for
pinning advice.
That is classic. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And obviously he was happy to give that information out.
Oh, definitely. Sure. He was like, yeah, I'll just tell you how to do it. Like, it's no big deal.
And did you meet him when he was living here in Bozeman as well?
So I still have yet to meet this man in person.
Oh, so you've never met him?
No,
okay.
This was all over social media. I didn't know he lived in Bozeman until after I moved here, and he wasn't in Bozeman anymore. And I was like, are you serious?
Interesting. Yeah, because he goes everywhere. He bounces all around the place. And then whenever he's back in town, like last time we filmed a podcast, he was back in town for like a couple days, and we made it happen, and then he left again. Yeah. So that's kind of the nature
Hands
of his
down
job
my
right
fate. Like, I'm in that, and I think it helped because at the time I was in that same like niche of like degenerate, delusional, like out of pocket social media influencer, because those were the people that were around me too. Like, I don't know if you know Luke Bongiovanni.
I know the name. Yeah, I'm sure.
So one of my like closest friends at the time. So very much like degenerate content.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And did you go to school? Were you a partier too?
So I was my freshman year, And I think I completely bottomed myself out with that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Sorry, Mom.
So freshman year, you went all out.
Oh, freshman year, I went all out. It was blackout or back out.
Okay.
Like frat rat to the core.
And you were still into bodybuilding at the time.
Yes.
And you still went hardcore down that
So
route.
it was like, it was literally like prep was like super serious and focused and focused and focused. And it got into off season and it was like, fuck all of that. It's time to like go down.
Wow. Okay.
Probably not
Very
the best.
fascinating.
Sorry to my coach at the time. I didn't tell you that.
It's all coming out.
It
here.
is.
Okay.
I'm getting exposed.
So you did it for your first year and then.
And then, you know, you kind of like, I feel like it was that thing where you're like, oh, I'm 18 now. I can do whatever I want. Like I have all the like freedom in the world. And I did it so hard that I was like, if I go to another single one of these, I'm going to like actually vomit. And it was that switch of like, okay, I'm around these people all the time. And the only time that I can enjoy them is when I'm like blackout drunk. So maybe I just shouldn't be hanging out with them.
Okay. I see. So then you gave up after your first year, got things together, and then continued competing in bodybuilding competitions until 21.
Yeah.
And then you discovered a different kind of drug.
I did. I mean, I knew about steroid. Like, you know, you hear it all the time. Don't start doing steroids. Don't start taking this. You're going to start bodybuilding and like build it up to the point where you're like, you can't go back. And it's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And my coach didn't convince me, but he did me like bring up some great points. And the way that we do it is very safe. I'm getting blood work done every 6 weeks, even when I'm not on cycle, just to make sure everything's fine. We're getting fertility testing done. Like he is a man that makes sure that it's not just helping me on the stage, but it's not going to affect my life outside of the stage.
I see. Okay. Gotcha. And is your coach, he's not a local guy, I assume? So
No.
you've been working with him for a while.
I have. His name is Alex Toplin.
Okay. I've heard that name as well.
He will also be at the Olympia.
Okay.
A little different perspective from us, though. He'll be on the stage.
Okay. Gotcha.
So-
So he's a competitor in
Physique. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely know that name.
Yes.
So, Brandon, why do you stay natural in that sense versus going enhanced? I mean, it's so easy and accessible to just about everybody.
Yeah,
to choose that.
that's a great question. I think that you can trace the reason why I'm still natural kind of back to my high school years. So there's been different phases. And there's been plenty of times where I've considered going down that route, but there have been multiple things that have sort of turned me off from it. And so the first thing that I will say is I had absolutely terrible acne when I was a kid. Like the type of acne where I would not want to get out of bed in the morning and I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror, because if I looked at myself in the mirror, I wouldn't want to go to school. Like, so I would just have to wake up and I have to wash my face and everything and not look in the mirror and just go to school and not think about it. Like that's how bad it was. Now I tried a lot of different things like minocycline, doxycycline, tons of different topical ointments and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I ended up having to pull the trigger on Accutane when I was about 20 years old. I had my acne case was so bad, I had to be on like 120 milligrams of Accutane for a full year in order to get it to go away. And for a large majority of that time, I was going through what's called like purging, where my acne was the worst it's ever been in my entire life. So I was taking a pill that was supposed to make my acne better, and it was simultaneously making my acne worse. And it was also on top of that destroying my mental health, and it was destroying my liver. So I was getting my blood work done every single month. And I would see like my cholesterol was getting like incredibly elevated. My liver was also under quite a bit of strain, you could see. And during that whole experience, I just remember thinking about it. And I was like, I would do anything. I would do absolutely anything to have a clear face at this point. And so for a long time, there was this part of me that was like, I will never do steroids because I struggled with acne for so long. And before that, you know, before that, there was like the age of SARMs, where SARMs kind of came into play, and everybody thought that they were like doing steroids without the side effects. That's how they were marketed, which is
I can attest to that.
Total BS.
Not true.
Did you dabble in that as well?
So before I ever actually took anything like serious, I was on a cycle of Osterin.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And-
At least that's one of the like least.
But you still get the
damaging
same side
ones.
effects. I was breaking out of my shoulders. I
Yeah.
couldn't sleep. My hair was falling out.
I have the most insanely terrible stories from friends that decided to hop on SARMs during that phase because it was a huge thing. Everybody was like SARMs. Everybody was on them at my gym, and it was very difficult for me to kind of avoid because people were like, yeah, you're still kind of natural, and I'd be like,
Are you really?
Sure about that. And so there's a lot of propaganda. Nobody really knew what to believe. There were no, long-term studies on them. You didn't even know if what you were getting was real. And so it was a really weird phase. But so you had a pretty bad experience on it as well?
I think actually my Osterin side effects were so much worse than anything I've ever run after.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that means you're probably doing a pretty good job on the dosing side of things and running your cycles properly.
And it helps a lot because I am a hyper responder.
Okay.
So the most minuscule things we use.
That makes sense.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's definitely good to be as a woman. You do not.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're not a hyper responder, it's not even worth touching.
It really
you're
isn't.
Going
I'd be
to destroy your femininity.
because we could be over here and be like, okay, like what are you taking? Like I'm on the Toji stack.
Yeah,
like I'm on that much.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's super interesting. So SARMs were a big deal back in the day. I avoided doing those just because I felt like it was way too good to be true. And then I saw my friends doing them. I saw friends get shut down. Like their testosterone was legitimately less than 100 nanograms per deciliter chronically for months and months, and they had zero sex drive. I watched them fall apart and stop going to the gym because they got super depressed because their balls weren't working. They were hypogonadal. And so I kind of watched these things play out, and I realized as time went on, I genuinely had nobody around me that was taking bodybuilding as seriously as I was. Like these people would come in and they would say, yeah, I really want to take bodybuilding seriously. I want to get my pro card, like this type of thing. They would say stuff like that, and then they would run a ton of gear. And I would always end up being bigger than they were. Like I'd always end up being bigger because I'd been training for longer. I was smarter with my training. I was smarter with my nutrition. And everybody that started taking it would ultimately try to use it as a Band-Aid to like make up for their lack of training and nutrition.
No, exactly. Because everyone thinks it's like this magic pill. Like I'm going to inject myself or I'm going to take this and I'm just going to look amazing. And it's not. You have to have everything else checked off before you should even think about doing it. Like sleep, nutrition, training.
And you need to have those so on lock. I can't even tell people the amount of DMs that I get of people asking me what cycle they should run. And it's been insane. And I do blame Shane for this, even though I love Shane Togi. He's a great person. He makes me laugh a lot. He's a great entertainer, but he has had such an interesting effect on our culture as a whole. Oh. I've watched so many people go from basically trying to live his lifestyle as best as they possibly can without doing any of the work. Like even before, Shane jumped on gear, at least like he was training consistently and, he was putting in the work on that side of things. Now I have people that are coming to me for coaching that want to figure out how they can look as good as possible while being as degenerate as possible. And it's like one of these things where I try to make sure to incorporate my clients' health, obviously,
Absolutely.
But at the same time, when they want to do these things and that is specifically their goal is to be like him, it's pretty difficult to give advice and stuff. I've had to cut myself off from a couple of people because they were definitely getting too far down that.
No, exactly.
So for your clients in that sense, what do you recommend for supplements? What's nutrition look like? What's all that look like from that versus being enhanced and just kind of in a sense take an easy route?
Yeah, when it comes to nutrition and training with all my clients, those are the two main things that I really like to focus on. Supplementation, as far as being a natural goes, like it is at play, but it's just it's such a smaller factor of the overall gains. I always tell people the three main things are your training, your nutrition, and your sleep. Like those just make up the biggest amount of progress in whether or not you're actually going to look good or whether you're not going to look good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even as an enhanced athlete, having clients, like they come to me, they're like, Aubrey, like, I know you're doing this. I know you're running this. You talk about it all the time. Like you're fully open with it. Like, I want to do that. I'm like, I'm not going to push you.
That would be really, really tough. I haven't thought about that. Like as an enhanced athlete, and being a coach as well, having people come to you. I guess that is part of my job that makes things kind of simple is like people come to me specifically because they know that I'm going to like hold them back and that I'm, kind of going to be a voice of health and reason when they want to be a little bit less reasonable and less healthy. They know that I'm going to try to like corral them.
Exactly.
And I think that's ultimately why a lot of people come to me. And I get a lot of people coming to me because they're like, hey, I watched your content with Togi. And they're like, and I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, fantastic.
Probably not the right person for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting dynamic getting a lot of, what do you call it? Like cross-pollination from his audience, because there are a lot of like, fuck it, send it as hard as we possibly can college kids.
It's hilarious. It's like this like whole era of glorification of steroid use. Like, we had like, what were they called on TikTok? Like the gym cells.
Yeah.
And now we're switching over to this like almost like Tochi bandwagon, which I think is so funny.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely made a community for himself.
I will be 100% honest. I had to completely stop watching his content. Like I can't even watch his content anymore because it makes me almost sad because he's my friend and I care about him. But at the same time, I mean, I'm just scrolling through his Snapchat stories and I see how messed up he looks. Like he's taking these pictures of himself in the morning where he's on like a 7-day bender. And I'm just like, dude, like how many more days do you have? I'm like, you look awful. And he says, dude, just 2 more days. Trust me, we'll be fine. And I keep following along with it. And it goes on for another week. And I'm, oh my goodness. And the stories that he's told me about, his drug usage and stuff.
Oh,
absolutely. It's crazy. And he's completely open about it too.
Which is great. I will give him and commend him for that.
What is your opinion on it? I saw if you watched One Night with Steiny with him on there, it was
wild.
He's talking about using coke. He's,
I couldn't believe
test
he
intake is insane.
Like jaw dropped on the floor.
Insane.
Like, oh my God, he just said that.
Yeah. I mean, like she said, I appreciate the fact that like he's talking about it and he's being honest about it, but it's a very, very difficult situation for me because I really like bodybuilding. And when I first got into it, especially, I was very much I was a diehard bodybuilder, and I thought that it was something that people should almost keep under wraps for the sake of like the majority of people who are trying to enter the sport and how easily it can be abused by the people that are just coming in.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's this very, very tough, it's this tough balance between you do want to be as open as you possibly can with people, and you don't want to lie to people, and you don't want to deceive people and say, hey, this protein powder is how I achieved my physique, when in reality you're blasting behind closed doors. But at the same time, like bodybuilding is just such a unique sport because you have to do drugs in order to be top level of it. And back in the day, they didn't really talk about steroid usage at all. And there were plenty of people that like knew that it was going on, but then at the same time, there's this huge dichotomy of is like, how much do we talk about it that allows things to be transparent without encouraging reckless use, which is exactly. It's almost an impossible.
It was like this like vague don't ask, don't tell policy. And I think I'm the opposite side as Shane. Like, I do say that I'm an enhanced athlete. If people ask, I'm completely open about what I'm on and what I'm using, but it's also not something that I promote heavily. I think I've answered it maybe one time on social media where someone was like, "Are you natty?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
Like, more of the story is no. Am I going to say what I'm running? No. Because I have a very young audience.
And Brandon, how do you manage with brands, especially like reaching out to you and stuff of like, we know you're sponsored by Rise, which is awesome. You talk super highly about them. How do you manage choosing supplements that are great, that you believe in and all of that?
So when it came to, I've been working with Rise for about, I think 3.5 to 4 years. So it's very, very easy for me to pick the products that I promote, because if I don't use it, I'm really not going to promote it. And with Rise, I absolutely love it so much, and I use it so much. I probably have too much protein powder every single day. I will legit have 3 scoops of protein powder in a day of just because I enjoy it so much. And Rise is one of those companies where I started working with them when they were relatively small. Now they're huge. Now they have massive spokespeople and, part owners like Noel Dizel. And there's all these other sort of names that have been able to continue to advance the brand into what I believe to be like the best amounts when it comes to the ingredients that are in all of the supplements, but also making sure that everybody understands exactly what they're getting. I feel like there are a lot of supplement companies out there that get really, really scammy. So I'm not sure did you watch the video on that like creatine for women video that came out where they're like, we're going to put some collagen protein, like 3 grams of collagen protein in a creatine monohydrate supplement and call it creatine for women. Yeah. And there's just so many companies out there that are just so full of shit. To me, honestly, to me, it was pretty obvious, like going with Rise, that their products were next level. And I recommend Rise products all the time to pretty much all of my clients. And there are obviously some things that they don't produce that I recommend taking as well. Like they don't make a fish oil supplement or anything like that. But there's, when it comes to the supplementation side of things, like I said, with the natural side of things, it takes up, a lot less bandwidth than just overall progress and developing your physique.
And absolutely. And I feel like that is like on a coaching aspect. In my opinion, people are going to believe you more about supplements than they're going to believe me. Because I have that whole, I'm like, well, we should be doing this or we should be taking this too. And they're like, well, can you really say that? Because you're like pinning your ass twice a week, ultimately.
Yeah. That is really tough. You can't really promote supplements when you're enhanced, because everybody's going to blame it on.
I think the only thing I can, because everyone knows that I'm like a diehard like caffeine addict to the core. That is the only thing I can promote.
Caffeine. I mean, it's the same. Like supplements are going to help you, just as much if you're enhanced.
Exactly.
But there is, that. Because for years, bodybuilders were saying, take this protein powder. I'm 100% natural. Exactly. And this is going to make you huge. And that was just so clearly BS.
No, literally.
They ruined it for everybody.
You forget the fact that like the first 3 years of this, I was natural. I was doing these things, and I still continue to do them on top of alternate supplementation.
Yeah. How long have you been coaching for?
I've been coaching for the last 4 years.
You've been coaching for 4 years.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. You coach mainly females, all females?
You would think so. But most of my clientele is men.
Really?
Really.
You mainly coach men?
I mainly coach classic men.
Wow, I was not expecting that. That is super interesting.
Oh, and it's so
classic
fun.
Men physique competitors.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, they get off of stage, and when I go to shows for them, it's so funny, the reactions, because they're like, dude, like you look so insane. Like, who's your coach? And you see this little tiny girl walk behind them like, hi, it's me.
That is really interesting. Okay. I was not expecting that at all. Well, we probably have a lot more in common when it comes to that, because I also coach mainly men.
I would assume so.
There you go. Yeah.
I think it was that flip on social media for me, though, is that I was in the like degenerate realm, same as Shane. And it's like people saw me as a gym bro. What was it? Luke said it. You're a gym bro with tits. Like people may follow you because you're attractive and hot, but for the most part, it's because you're a gym bro with tits.
I see. Interesting. Honestly, I haven't seen any of your content before.
Yeah.
So this is all fascinating. I'm going to have to go back through and like rewatch through it to get a little bit of context from it. So were you posting yourself like injecting on camera and stuff?
No, I never went that far.
Okay,
no. I didn't get to that. You know, after I saw Shane blow up, I did contemplate it for a while. I was like,
I think it made everybody kind of question their sense of reality.
Like
watching
this could
Shane
really blow
that.
up. Like as a female, especially just being like full send on camera.
Yep.
But I was like,
Yep. Yeah. It's been pretty interesting because I'm not sure how much you pay attention like the fitness influencer space, but I swear that so many influencers have done Shane's exact same formula. Shane just turned up the dial.
Oh yeah.
Like for example, Sush, you know, he was one of the first people that ever blew up, and he's the one that, you know, he blew up Young LA. He blew up Gorilla Mind. Like he was the cornerstone athlete for like a lot of these different brands. And he originally started like pretend injecting himself on TikTok. Like I still remember watching his first video where he fake injected himself, and then he was like lifting, and then he did a Q&A in the comment section, and he was talking about how he was on like a bunch of SARMs.
Yeah.
And all these kids were just fascinated with it. And he blew up super, super fast. And now he's doing, you know, the health content.
Right.
You know,
You're like, it's such like a 180.
And he's cold plunging and running and biking and stuff like that. And it is, it's very, very interesting to see that there is like this formula to succeed on social media. In my opinion, you know, I feel like when you're doing stuff like that, you're almost making a deal with the devil. So I have a very, very strong sense of like moral beliefs that kind of shape what I post, because I'm very, very skeptical of things that do go viral. And when things do go viral, I'm like, is this actually benefiting me, or is this going to negatively impact me? How is this going to affect my brand in the long run? Are people going to trust me in the long run? Because I'm 100% in it for the long game.
Right.
Like you see fitness influencers come in and they're posting and they're trying to go viral as quick as possible. And people come to me and they're like, how do I go viral? How do I go viral? How do I make it in the fitness industry? In my opinion, I'm trying to spread it out as long as humanly possible, because I feel like the people that tend to rise up really, really quickly tend to fall off really quickly as well. I mean, just with Shane, like his bodybuilding arc is over.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even care what he looks like anymore.
No, now he's
pretty
gambling.
much, now he's gambling. Now he's making his money that way. In my opinion, if you have a set goal of like improving people's lives, improving people's health, you know, you put that as your North Star and just kind of let that guide you, let all your content flow from like the goal of trying to improve people's lives. I think that you can, you know, build a really profitable business over time, and you can be a really, really great coach, and you can make it in the fitness space. Like people always say that I have, when in reality, you know, I didn't blow up. I didn't go viral. Like I've been slowly making progress over years and years and years.
And I totally think that's where we're like the same mindset, because there, especially as a female fitness influencer, there are a bunch of ways I could have just gone viral.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep,
I'm not gonna front, I know a lot of fitness female influencers. You know, they have OnlyFans, or they're posting half naked.
I was kind of walking around that question.
Or they're posting half naked on social media.
Okay, so you don't have an OnlyFans?
I do not.
Okay, all right.
I could never.
Thank goodness. That is definitely a big problem with our space. I feel
and
like.
it's become such a like reasonable, like, oh well, it's the logical thing to do. Like I'm working this hard anyways, might as well make money off of it this way.
Yeah, in my opinion, it defiles bodybuilding. It defiles health and fitness. It makes me so angry to see fitness and OnlyFans being tied at the hip. And also these poor girls that are getting into the fitness space, they get in, they have no good role models, and they're trying to figure out how to make money, because everybody's trying to figure out how to make money in health and fitness when they first get in there. And all of their female counterparts, all of their competition are selling pictures of their butthole. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, are you actually going to sit a girl down and tell her, hey, you're going to have to put blood, sweat, and tears into building a business that's actually going to help people over the next 5 years before you start becoming like profitable and really starting to make money and, finding your place in the space? Nobody wants to do that.
No.
There's this super
It's
quick,
like, hey, you can do
sell
that
your soul to the devil,
or post your left tit and you're done.
It's insane. It's really, really sad. And I've actually gone out of my way to try to encourage girls that I see in the space that are coaching and stuff like that aren't doing OnlyFans. So I'll like go out of my way to shoot them a DM, like say, hey, by the way, I noticed that you don't have an OnlyFans, and I noticed that you're coaching people and your clients are getting good results. I'm like, please keep doing that. Like,
exactly.
we need more female role models for these girls.
Because at the end of the day, like, how can you as a coach have all these people under you that you're trying to make their lives better, but you're also on the side doing one of the most degrading things to yourself?
I'm glad that we agree on that point for sure. That's a big one. I try not to think about that one too much, because if I think about it, then I get bummed out.
I mean, we were both kind of walking around it, because again, I also haven't really seen a lot of your content, and I know a lot of male influencers are the same way. So like. Yep, where do we stand on that?
My followers they always comment on my photos, and they say, born to do the Togi method, forced to do the branded method. And pretty much what it means is like, Togi, I was born to live life on the edge and do all these drugs and be crazy and like have a good time, but I have a sense of morality and I'm lame. And so I have to do it the Brandon way, which is like slow and boring, and like I have to be a good boy. I guess
we're
much
like
what
the
that
old
means.
Boring people of the fitness industry.
Exactly.
Well,
Nobody
in
cares.
the sense too, how do you create content that is like that for your followers, that follows your goals, morals, all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I try to keep things as entertaining as possible. I get a lot of hate because a lot of people think that I'm enhanced. So I get hate from that avenue. I get hate because I'm pretty open about my faith as well. I get hate from that avenue. I get hate from Christians that, say, hey, why are you like flexing on stage in a Speedo? Like, that's wrong. I get hate from that avenue. I get hate from a lot of different directions. And over the past, couple years, you pretty much become desensitized to all the hate that you get. Absolutely. Because you get it all the time, and I've had some really crazy interactions with haters on social media from all of those different perspectives that are coming at me for different reasons. And basically what I've tried to do is I've tried to sort of pave this new way where you can be a Christian, you can, try to be a good person. You don't need to take drugs. Like, I'm completely sober. I don't even use like caffeine, really, to be honest with you. Like, I pretty much don't use any drugs, and I'm trying to create content and I'm trying to make it entertaining for people. Right. And I'm trying to make natural bodybuilding entertaining for people as well, because people always say like, natural bodybuilding is so boring. In my opinion, like bodybuilding isn't fun to watch just because there's like this huge freak factor. It's fun because there's different personalities involved, and there's different people with different brands like going up against each other. And what I can feel happening, which I love, which I'm trying to foster and create, is this natural bodybuilding world where people actually tune in to natural bodybuilding shows because they're like, my favorite influencer is going up against this other guy in the industry. And like, I want to start like trash talking people. And I do plan on like doing that eventually, like trying to stir up like some entertainment in it, like make it fun, because it's like everybody says that it's so boring. And I want to kind of show people that it's more than drug use and all that type of stuff.
So, I mean, even like speaking on that, I think the only reason I've ever had a problem with natural bodybuilding is I've only ever met people that look so down on me and do this like holier than thou attitude of, well, I'm doing it naturally and you couldn't like stick with it.
Yeah, no, it's total BS. So the entire idea that like natural bodybuilders can look down on enhanced athletes is ridiculous. I think that the problem is there's a bunch of people out there that spoil enhanced bodybuilding for enhanced bodybuilders, because there's so many kids that go out and they say, oh, I'm going to get huge. And then they're absolute idiots. They destroy their bodies and they make bodybuilding look super, super bad. And then they don't even end up becoming bodybuilders. And so that like taints the reputation of enhanced bodybuilding. And then there are these like natural, holier than thou people that think that taking steroids is like super wrong. I am not of that belief. I can't tell you exactly what my beliefs are surrounding steroids. There is some sort of moral reason why I don't do drugs. Like I know that there's something there. It's very, very deep and kind of complicated to talk about. Right. But take, for example, Derek Lunsford. He's Mr. Olympia. He's the best bodybuilder on the planet, and he's super Christian, super open about his faith, and yet
enhanced
that bro's blasting out of his blasting off spaceships. So
I think that bro was blasting my body weight in steroids.
I know. Like I can genuinely think of people that really, really, truly love the sport, and they're trying to take their physiques to the next level. They're trying to go where no man has ever gone before. And that's the case with a lot of sports. Like, think of squirrel diving, like jumping off of cliffs. The rate of death in squirrel diving is ridiculously high. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but people just clap into cliffs all the time. And nobody questions, like, is squirrel diving moral? Like, does God want you to go squirrel diving? Like, it's really unsafe. He probably doesn't want you to go squirrel diving, but at the same time, there's this part of us that wants to push our bodies to the absolute limit. And so I understand that, like, when trying to achieve greatness, you sacrifice the health of your body doing things. And that is why I still love bodybuilding. It's why I go to the Olympia every year. And I absolutely hate it when enhanced athletes get mad at me and say, oh, you're just one of those holier than thou natties. I'm like, I'm definitely not that way. I preach staying natural all the time, and my content does like revolve around it, but that's because I'm trying to counter this like togi aura that has like taken over the energy.
You're just trying to neutralize it and bring it back to that middle ground.
I'm trying to neutralize it. I'm not trying to shit on enhanced bodybuilders at all. Like, I have so many friends that are enhanced athletes. I have so many friends that are IFBB pros. I coach enhanced athletes. Like, I do not have a problem if that is ultimately the way that people want to take it. I am just constantly encouraging people, the average person, to pursue health and a really good looking physique naturally, because that is the way that most 99% of people, I think, should be doing it that way, if that makes sense.
Like, that is like my hill to die on. Is I have people at like gyms that I've been to or gyms where I've lived that are just running gear to run gear. Mm-hmm. And genuinely, especially as an enhanced athlete, I think if you're not trying to step on a stage at a higher level, you shouldn't be running it.
I 100% agree. This was another thing that I was going to mention, is that Togi, I love the guy, but he fell into this trap as well when he first started posting content. On the first podcast that we did together, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get my IFBB pro card. And I'm like, really? You're trying to get your IFBB pro card? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I want to shut the haters up. And he's like, and you know, if you're going to take steroids, he's like, you should do it for something. I'm like, I kind of agree with that.
Exactly.
Now he's like, I don't care if I'm a bodybuilder. He's like, I'm just taking like steroids to look good. I'm glad that he finally came around and realized his true intentions as far as that went. But I truly do believe that you have no business taking drugs if it is not to step on a stage.
Exactly.
Like if you are doing it if you are taking steroids and your end goal is to not step on a bodybuilding stage, you simply lack patience. Like you're a child, in my opinion.
I mean, we're in that generation of like,
yeah,
I want it now.
Exactly.
I want it now.
Exactly.
I don't want to wait.
And people say, what's wrong with me for wanting it now? Like, well, you could get the same exact thing, have better health results, better enjoy the journey, and become a better, more disciplined human being over the natural road of progressing your physique, instead of trying to use gear and using it as an excuse or as a, what do you call it? Yeah, using it as a way to just avoid dialing in your nutrition and training and do the hard work that you're supposed to do, the hard work that all of the bodybuilders have to do in order to step on stage. That's kind of what it feels like for me most of the time, is the hard work that people put into their nutrition and training almost validates their gear usage. Like if you are somebody that takes drugs, in my opinion, you almost deserve to elevate your physique and chase greatness on the bodybuilding stage if that's what you're going for, if all of these other areas of your life are dialed. If those areas aren't dialed, you're just being impatient.
Exactly.
You're just being impatient, and you're probably going to mess yourself up, and you're probably going to end up looking worse than me, who's natty. So that's kind of like the path that so many people end up going down.
Well, because in like full disclosure and full honesty, if I would have started this and I would have started running gear like even 2 years before, I'd probably be a dick. Like,
interesting.
Like, let's be honest.
Very, very interesting. So you waited until the right time.
Absolutely.
To take it. So looking back on your journey, you wouldn't change it.
Oh, I wouldn't. Like, maybe the Osterin. That was a bad idea. But I kept going and kept going until I got to that like plateau where my body wouldn't give either way. And we stuck there for 2 or 3 months, and we're like, it's not going anywhere. No matter what we change, if we change sleep, if we change nutrition, if we change training, that's just where my body was going to stick and plateau. So we were like, let's run something small and see what happens.
Interesting. There you go. And so that was your first introduction.
Yeah, it wasn't like, okay, we're doing it now. We're doing it. Let's go big or go home. It was like, no, we're going to do like 10 milligrams of Anavar.
Yeah. And I definitely think that is the smart way to go in terms of like go a little bit, because one problem with my content is I promote being natty or like not natty. So many people see it in like this bipolar way. And so they say either I'm going to do it the Brandon method and be 100% natty, or I'm going to do it the Togi method and go balls to the wall. When it's like,
there's a middle ground.
There's very much a middle ground.
There's a very big and a wide middle ground.
Yeah, but just nobody's talking about it because it's not as sexy as going balls to the wall Togi method, Exactly. Or you want to keep your natty card and be holier than thou and, have your mom still love you because you're a natural athlete.
Oh, no, my parents know that I'm enhanced.
They do? How did they respond to that?
So we can talk about how they found out.
Oh, interesting. That's
so I was back home for like a break during college, and quite literally my mom walked in on me pinning, and I was like,
no way.
Oh, hey. And I think my dad found my Anavar like downstairs.
That's hilarious.
They were like, you're an adult, you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
She walked in on you pinning. That is so funny.
She's like, just don't fuck up your life. Like do it the safe way if you're going to do it. I can't tell you not to do it.
Very interesting.
So Brandon,
we've
got a few last little questions for you.
Let's go.
Rapid fire through. What's something your followers might not know about you?
Ooh, that's a really good one. What is one thing my followers might not know about me? Oh my gosh. I can't even think of anything because I spend so much time answering questions on like Instagram. I'm not sure if my style of content is like shotgun. I post like 3 to 4 times on Instagram.
No, because I went to go look at your Instagram. I was like, why does this look completely different than like 2 days ago?
Yeah, exactly. It's because I post so much and I post like my entire life on there. What is one thing that they don't know about me? I genuinely think that there's like not a single thing. I mean, I talk about everything on my channel. I talk about porn. I talk about how I'm a virgin. That one always throws people for a loop. I talk about like my friendships, my relationships. I go deep on all of my stuff. I genuinely can't think of anything.
No, genuinely, because I'm like, I'm gonna like look at Brandon's YouTube and we're gonna like try to find some questions. And literally the first episode was how to like get over heartbreak, and I was like,
yeah,
oh,
exactly. Yeah, I really get raw. My content is kind of. I enjoy it because it's almost like a diary for me.
Right.
Like my content, I post whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm thinking. I just like being able to put stuff out there. I like having other people's interactions like with my thoughts because the posts that I make are the thoughts in my head, and then I get to see how other people think about it. It makes me think about it more, helps me develop different opinions. All that type of stuff. I genuinely couldn't think of a single thing.
Absolutely commend that and respect you for that because I'm so not the same. Like my page is coaching, fitness, bodybuilding, cut it off.
Interested. Yeah.
Like any and all relationships I have been in, I don't think my followers have ever known about.
That's a more professional approach for sure.
It was a professional approach, but it was also kind of like a PTSD approach because like the first time I ever like introduced someone to my fitness page, they were like number one enemy, like da-da-da, and like sending like rapid fire sending this person hate.
Yeah. I genuinely over the years of, progressing when it comes to my content production, I've become obsessed with the idea that I want my followers and the people that engage with my content to very much love me for like who I am as a person. And so I post things that I think to genuinely try to piss some people off sometimes because I'm like, if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. You can either sit around and still engage with my content, or you can unfollow. Like you can get out. Like
exactly.
I responded to a bunch of hate comments of people like, oh yeah, this is a terrible take. Like I'm unfollowing. And I say, that is totally fine. Like unfollow me. I could not care less. The people who are going to end up sticking around, who really, really like me, who like what I stand for, those are the people that I'm going to continue making content for. Those are the people that enjoy it. And if you don't like it, you can get out.
Well, and speaking of your social media, another rapid fire question we got here is, what is the most unexpected DM comment you've received on Instagram?
Oh no.
Oh boy. Most unexpected comment or DM?
I'm glad I'm not in the hot seat.
Okay, so what's really crazy is I have stalkers that are okay. I have different levels of stalkers on Instagram. So number one, I have people that are like obsessed with my feet. Like I wear size 13s. Like I have like pretty large feet, and I do have this underlying, there's like a couple of people that are just absolutely fascinated with it. There was even this one picture that I posted, like I was on a boat and I posted like a selfie sitting there on the boat, and they zoomed in. They sent me screenshots of how they'd zoomed in on the reflection of my glasses. And my feet, you could see my feet in the background. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had to block this person. I was like, no way are they looking
the level
that
of effort
hard for my feet and every single thing that I post. And so you know what? This is one kind of funny thing that does, maybe people don't know about this because I haven't talked about it. There was one guy that was just super obsessed with my feet, and he said, send me a picture of your feet and I'll send you $300.
Oh my God.
And I hadn't responded to him at all. And I typed into Google, I just typed in man's feet, and I screenshotted the first one that came up and I sent him a picture. And he sent me $300
That's
to my
amazing.
PayPal. And I was like, no, he did not. I just blocked it. I couldn't believe it. So that's one thing that
Brandon, is this your introduction to like
completely out of pocket.
feet-based OnlyFans?
It's absolutely crazy. The amount of money I have been offered for like weird things is pretty mind blowing. So there's been a lot on that side of things. I would say most out of pocket one of all time was somebody did offer me, and this was somebody who had they'd been like stalking my profile for a while. They offered me $50,000 to attend an orgy in a city that they apparently knew I was in, and I was only there for like a couple days.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so they sent me like all of the information for this orgy that they wanted to be at. And they were like, we will pay you half like at the start and half at the end. And I was like,
Oh my
I felt so gross. I had to get out of that city fast. I flew out the next day. It was
Changing
bad.
flights, like, gotta go.
They were blocked. I've been, and what's crazy is a lot of fitness influencers don't turn down stuff like that.
No, they do not.
Sad to hear. Sad to hear.
I
lot
have
of
multiple
influencers,
stories.
but they don't tend to stick around for very long because the ones that are in it for the fast money, they're in it for the drugs and the sex.
They get that 50K after they're gone.
They freaking
They're gone.
Yeah, they tend to fall down bad. Bad rabbit holes. When you sell your soul to the devil, it doesn't last very long.
So I think that like even as like a smaller influencer, I've definitely had some weird interactions. My last prep, actually, I was ranting on my story about wanting like this Alpha Elite like sweatsuit. I was like, it'd be perfect for prep. I just can't rationalize getting it. Like we'll think about it in a couple of weeks when I'm like a little more level headed than off of prep because I have a bad spending habit on prep.
I see.
You know, you're doing cardio.
100%.
You're doing cardio.
The
You have
dopamine hit that you're not getting from food. You decide you just want to buy.
You're doing
things.
cardio and you have nothing else to do. You're like, I'm gonna look at Amazon
Yes,
again.
100%.
Not even a day later, there is a box at my front door with that Alpha Elite sweatsuit in it.
Really? Wow.
With no address to return. They dropped it off. Like they knew where I lived. They dropped it off.
Oh yeah. That's weird.
I mean, if you're watching this, thank you. But
that's weird. It's one of those weird things. Like I've had gay guys just send me money like out of nowhere because like like people know people's PayPal accounts,
exactly,
and their Venmo accounts and stuff like that, and it's like they'll just send you random money, and you're like, okay, dude, like
thanks.
This isn't happening, but all right. They're like, I want to buy you a new pair of shoes, or they're like, I want to pay for your gas for the week.
Yeah,
and they'll just send you random money, and you're like,
I get that.
Okay,
I want to pay for your show suit a lot.
Oh yeah, that one's interesting.
They're like, I want to pay for your show suit.
Yeah, that one's a
just if you send me the stage shots, and I'm like, no,
because their trick to that one is they're like, I'll buy you it, but then you have to give it back to me afterwards.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You can't go through it.
So the very last thing we got for you today is tell us about your fish oil.
My what?
Your fish oil.
Oh, my fish oil consumption?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I need you to explain this to me.
Okay, yeah, no, I could explain it. So Togi roasted me for consuming my fish oil pills. I chew them instead of swallowing them because when I swallow them, they're in the gelatin cases.
Right.
And they're like digesting in my stomach. And when they're digesting in my stomach, I get these like nasty fish burps. Like and they taste
I've
terrible.
never had that.
It's like I'm reliving tasting fish oil in my mouth like every 5 minutes. And apparently it's like a genetic thing. Like some people get it, some people don't.
Okay.
And apparently a bunch of people sent me DMs about this after Togi posted about it. Apparently there's like an anti-burp type of fish oil that you can take that specifically like is for like avoiding the burps after taking fish oil. So
Right.
I buy like the capsules. I just bite into them. I just like suck them. I have to deal with the fish oil taste for like 2 minutes or even like 20 seconds. And then I throw vitamin C, one of like the ones that taste good in, and then it completely washes away the problems.
Well, I heard about this and I was slightly convinced. So we're gonna do it right now.
You have them
I
right
have
now
fish
on here.
oil.
Oh my gosh,
I have it
that's
on
hilarious.
deck.
Oh yeah, I can totally do this. I haven't taken my fish oil for the day. A little bit of pre-workout fish oil.
Yeah, pre-workout fish oil.
That's fantastic.
I would love that. Thank you.
Wait, so you're gonna try it for the first time?
I'm gonna try it for the first time.
Oh gosh,
I'm gonna believe
this is
in
bad.
you.
Do you have a trash can? Because if it tastes like, I know people that absolutely hate the taste and might like gag.
Okay, but mind you, I'm on prep and have been like,
Okay,
I'm like
so you're kinda
26 weeks into prep.
So how many weeks out are you? 26? You're 26
So
into
I'm
it.
26 into it.
How many more do you have?
X amount of weeks.
Oh, so you're trying not to say? Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
If this goes bad, I'm completely blaming you.
This is gonna be really, really interesting. You have a trash can? This is super. Just like spit them out
Just,
on the
like,
ground,
right
like,
on the
like
ground.
sunflower seeds.
I mean, there's a fake plant right there.
Yeah.
by
I
all
mean,
means.
apparently you can buy the oil by itself as well. Oh, this is perfect. This
Oh
is
my gosh, thank you.
Let's go.
Oh, we got a
Fantastic.
trash can, everything.
Yep.
I think those are all my energy drinks.
Maybe you're gonna love it, and you're just gonna.
You're
keep
gonna
doing
like
it.
convert me.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
But also
so-
the problem is, I take a vitamin C right after, and it does help. Like it helps the pain go away. So yeah,
We're
you need a
gonna-
chaser. You need a chaser for the fish oil. Yeah, that's
Please.
good. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I've definitely done worse.
There you go. Oh, the aftertaste is pretty nasty. It sticks around a little bit. Don't kiss anybody for a while after pulling off
Sorry.
that one.
It wasn't terrible.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty nasty.
Not something I would do every day.
Yeah, I would probably recommend
You
that.
are strong for that one.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But it was so good having you on. I mean, we got to kind of like get to know each other too. And like you said, there's not a lot of people in Bozeman where you're like, oh, I can talk to them about fitness and they'll completely get it. So thank you so much for hopping on.
It's been a great podcast. Thanks for having me on, and maybe we'll do it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 2 of the Raw Reps podcast, No Filters, Just Facts with Brandon Clark. Don't forget to follow us on anywhere you get podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram for updates about future episodes and future guests. Also, don't forget to follow Brandon Clark at Brandon C. Clark on Instagram and TikTok. We'll see you guys next week. Until next time, keep grinding, stay raw, and remember, no filters, just facts.